Things aren't great, but you could use your podcasting powers for good and help worthy causes better tell their stories, and still have plenty of time to be a podcasting powerhouse. Hello and welcome to another Podcast Pontifications with me, Evo Terra. I know it's been a very difficult time right now, especially when you're trying to stay positive lately. And I feel like at times I've been doing the exact opposite, bringing you some thoughts and ideas about podcasting that are downright post-apocalyptic. Sorry about that. Recently I was contacted by a charitable organization looking for some assistance in podcasting. And here's the reality. They've got some budget to afford the kinds of services that I provide, but not a huge budget. And this isn't a gigantic charity. This is a self-ran, self-funded organization. They're not getting billions of dollars of endowment monies and various things. But here's the deal. I really want to help these people. I think they've got a good idea. I think they've got good stories to tell. And I want to help them. So I'm going to find a way. We're going to work together and try and find a way to make it happen. But I know that it's going to require me to do something different than what I do for my business-focused clients, who are all businesses, who all have marketing budgets, who have the ability to pay for professional services. And I thought we'd talk about it here on the program because you are a working podcaster. You have valuable skills that could be used on other properties if you have the time. I'm going to talk about the time in just a moment. And if you have the desire. I firmly believe that we, working podcasters who know what we're doing, who've developed skill sets, whatever your skill set happens to be in, is worthy of being paid. You are worthy of being paid a really high wage, honestly, for the things that you do. I was in a mastermind group last year and worked really hard to make sure that the people that were in that group understood that their services were more valuable than they were being paid, and help them increase their rates. Not just to try and hork people, that was not my goal, but just so that the people that were doing the work, could have a better life for themselves. Not necessarily mansion in the hills somewhere, but just simply, doing the things that they want to do. That takes some effort. So it's weird that I'm talking about that at the same time I'm talking about doing work for charity services where you're probably not going to get paid the rate that you probably could be paid if you were charging some commercial entity to do your job. But I still think it's something we should be able to do if we want to, and if we have the bandwidth. Let's talk about the bandwidth for a second first. There's this concept in religion, I'm not religious, called tithing, where you give 10% of your income to the religious institution of their choice. We could take that same model of tithing and say, well, what if you gave away 10% of your time? Specifically, 10% of your working time. And let's just pretend for a moment that your working time is the standard 40 hours a week. I know it's more than that. I totally get it. But for math, it helps to do this work that we're doing right here. Assume we're talking about a 10% of your 40-hour week. That's 4 hours. 4 hours. Or a half a day. Or if you want to break it down, you could do that less than 1 hour per day. So if we're talking about tithing your time to a worthwhile charitable organization that you want to help podcast better, you want to help get started on podcasting, whatever you want to do, if you do decide you want to do that for free, maybe the way you do that is thinking about tithing your time. Carve out 10% or 4 hours a day, 4 hours a week, or a half a day, or 1 hour a week, however you want to look at it. That you could do. Now, when I do something like this, what I'm likely going to do is I'm going to invoice fully for my time. But that invoice is going to include a discount line, and it's going to be a healthy discount to make it work. And I do that because I don't want to dilute the value of the services I provide. It's possible that the people running this charitable organization, the funders of this organization, one of the two, might want the same services I provide for the charity for their business. They have access to those invoices. If that invoices shows a really tiny amount, they're going to assume that's what they can get it for the same price. And that's not true. So I want my invoices to reflect exactly how much money I should be charging, and then I put a discount line with a negative number on it to bring that down to a manageable number for them. Keep this in mind before you do this, working podcaster. There very well could be tax implications. Probably positive, I would imagine. As in, you might, and I am not a tax pro, I'm not a bookkeeper, neither Rhonda, or both Rhonda and Paula will tell you I am none of those things. But definitely check with your tax pro, your bookkeeper, about the possible tax implications of giving away your valued services either for free or at a significant discount. You know, I'd love to be in a situation to where I could just do pro bono work. I really enjoy the work I do with the vast majority of my clients. It is fun. It keeps my brain engaged. Heck, when I was in Thailand in 2016, when I started the business, I did it because I was bored. Semi-retired in Thailand, or actually I was trying to be fully retired, way too young for that. So I'll probably wind up doing something like what I'm doing now forever. It works for me in a pro bono situation. Now, I'm relatively well-rounded thanks to a long history in business, as well as running podcasting for 16 years. Not everybody is that way. In fact, I can't do everything. So the last thing I'll leave you with is thinking about building a network. I've talked about networks a lot on the program over the years. Building a network of other like-minded podcast experts, podcast freelancers, working podcasters like yourself that have different skill sets. And if you have a shared mindset about certain organizations, you might be able to even to somehow multiply your good, bringing other people into the program who might be able to, let me think about it this way. If you get 10 people to tithe 10%, hey, that's 100%. 5 for 50%. Not a bad deal. Some charity would really like it if you would come up with something like that. In this world of bad news, we need some good news in there. Now, I have 2 things you can do that are good. 2 good things you can do right now. One, you can go to buymeacoffee.com/evoterra and buy me a coffee. It's the donation that keeps the show running all the time. And you can tell one person, just one person, one other working podcaster about podcast pontifications, this episode. Maybe this spurs the conversation. Maybe this is the thing you've been waiting for to share a good news article. Lord knows I've been talking about bad news for the longest time. So share this with a friend if you would. I would really appreciate it, and it helps the show grow. That's it. See you tomorrow for another podcast pontifications. Cheers.